Hi Guy, welcome back. CBS Beyond the Gates spoilers. Reveals Hayley's life is turned upside down. Her terrible past resurfaces, leaving her feeling guilty. Lynette slaps Hayley because of past deception. When Lynette confronts Hayley about what happened, Hayley denies it and mocks Lynette's pain. The story reveals dramatic developments as the truth is revealed. Will Hayley face legal consequences? Hayley's life had always been built on the illusion of control. The kind of practiced steadiness that lets someone stand tall in a room and convince everyone, sometimes even herself, that nothing can shake her. Lately, that illusion has been cracking, not with thunderous confrontations or dramatic confessions, but with quiet, relentless pressure, as if the past has returned in small, poisonous fragments designed to seep under her skin. The worst part isn't the memory itself, but the guilt that comes with it, the sense that the things she once did were never truly buried, only waiting for the right moment to rise. She tells herself she has moved on, that she is not that person anymore, that what happened back then was a different version of her, a darker chapter she has long since closed. Yet guilt has a way of lingering, clinging like smoke that refuses to wash out no matter how carefully you scrub. So when Hayley steps into a public event wrapped in polished smiles, bright lights, and shallow celebration, she is already carrying a private tension she can't admit. Already bracing for a blow she doesn't know is coming. Then she sees Lynette, and in an instant the room seems to narrow. The noise receding into the background until all that remains is the weight of a stare that feels like it can see straight through her. Lynette doesn't arrive with theatrics. She doesn't need to. Her presence is sharp and undeniable, the kind that makes the air feel thinner around the person she's confronting. She isn't the type to explode for attention, which makes her approach even more unsettling because it signals something far more deliberate than impulse. Lynette has lived with what Hayley did to her, lived with the humiliation of being deceived, manipulated, and left to carry the shame alone. She has never had the chance to strike back, never had the moment where she could reclaim the dignity that was stolen from her. Now she stands face to face with the woman who caused that damage, and the resentment in her eyes is not new. It is aged, sharpened, and held carefully for the day he could finally use it. Hayley registers the threat immediately, a flicker of surprise crossing her features, a flash of disbelief that this ghost from her past would step into the light. But surprise is quickly replaced by instinct, and Hayley's instincts have always been defensive, always oriented toward survival at any cost. Lynette confronts Hayley directly, not with screaming or wild accusations, but with a controlled insistence that demands acknowledgement. She presses for an explanation, not because she expects a sincere apology, but because she needs Hayley to admit that it happened, that it was real. That Lynette's pain was not an exaggeration or a misunderstanding. She needs the truth to be spoken out loud because silence has protected Hayley for too long. For a fraction of a moment, Hayley hesitates, as if she is calculating which mask will serve her best. Then she chooses the one she has always relied on, the mask of contempt. She denies what Lynette is saying and shifts into a posture of superiority, treating Lynette's words like a nuisance rather than a reckoning. That choice, that cold dismissal, is what pushes the encounter beyond confrontation and into something raw and dangerous. Hayley laughs at Lynette's pain, reducing it to a weakness, a personal flaw, something embarrassing rather than something inflicted. She mocks Lynette for holding on to the past and implies that Lynette's suffering is her own responsibility because she can't let go. The cruelty of it isn't just in the words, but in the logic Hayley uses, that cheap moralizing that places the burden on the victim instead of the person who caused the harm. Lynette has carried this humiliation for too long, the lingering sense that she was foolish, that she was played, that her story became a cautionary tale whispered behind her back. If Hayley had shown even a flicker of remorse, Lynette might have collapsed into grief, into exhaustion, into the hollow pain of acceptance. Instead, Hayley chooses to strike again, to reopen the wound with sarcasm, to prove she can still weaponize confidence and make someone else feel small. In that moment, Lynette's restraint fractures not into chaos, but into something focused and inevitable. The anger Lynette has suppressed for years rises like a tide she can no longer hold back. It isn't the kind of anger that makes a person lose themselves completely, but the kind that becomes so precise it moves through the body before the mind can second-guess it. Lynette's hand swings up, hard and decisive, and lands across Hayley's face with a force that seems to carry every swallowed insult, every sleepless night, every private moment of shame Lynette has endured. The sound cuts through the event like a blade, silencing nearby conversations, drawing eyes toward them, shattering the glossy atmosphere with one unmistakable act of rebellion. Hayley freezes, not only from the sting on her skin, but from the shock of losing control in front of witnesses. She has built her life on managing narratives, on twisting perception, on maintaining an image. This slap is not just pain, it is public humiliation, a crack in the armor she wears to survive. For Lynette, the moment is both release and heartbreak. Release because she has finally done what she was never allowed to do: push back, refuse to stay quiet, refuse to be treated like collateral damage. Heartbreak because a slap cannot restore what was taken from her. It cannot undo the manipulation. It cannot give her back time, trust, or the version of herself that existed before Hayley's deception. Lynette stands tall for a beat, breathing through the intensity of what she has done, then turns and walks away. She doesn't stay to argue, doesn't stay to justify herself to the curious eyes gathering around, because she knows how quickly truth becomes gossip, how easily people turn pain into entertainment. As she leaves, she can feel the weight of the past shifting off her shoulders, but she also knows the consequences won't end here. Hayley is not the kind of person who absorbs public shame and simply moves on. Hayley remains behind in the bright lights, surrounded by stares, pressing a hand to her cheek as if she needs proof that this happened. She can pretend Lynette is dramatic, can insist to herself that this is nothing, but the truth is unmistakable. The past is not dead, and the people she once hurt are not as powerless as she assumed. This slap doesn't awaken remorse in Hayley, it awakens calculation. Beneath the forced composure, something shifts, an old survival mechanism clicking back into place, one that has always been fueled by pride and retaliation. She knows what's at stake if this spreads. She knows how fast suspicion can infect a room, how quickly relationships can change when someone's reputation begins to fray. She can sense her carefully built life trembling at the edges, and she hates Lynette for daring to expose even a fraction of what she has tried to hide. Lynette walks away believing she has won a small but meaningful battle, while Hayley stands in silence, the kind of silence that feels more dangerous than an outburst. It is the silence of someone deciding what to do next, someone refusing to be cornered without striking back. Then Hayley's phone vibrates. She glances down, expecting a trivial notification, but what she sees drains the color from her face in an instant. The message is short, sharp, and impossible to dismiss. The sender doesn't just reference what happened moments ago. The sender mentions Hayley's debt from the past plainly, directly, and demands a meeting tonight if Hayley wants to keep everything from collapsing. In that moment, it becomes clear the slap was only the opening blow. Something far worse is waiting just beyond the edge of the room, and Hayley has no choice but to step toward it. On our TV Spoilers channel, I always seek content inspiration for each video by compiling short video clips to analyze and offer my personal opinions. This channel specializes in analyzing, theorizing, and discussing plot points in The Young and the Restless series from the perspective of a longtime fan. Through this, viewers can gain deeper, more objective, and more interesting perspectives. Subscribe to the channel to stay updated on the latest news about The Young and the Restless series.